You're tuned into That's Life, where we celebrate the beauty, the chaos, and the wonder of real life. Sometimes it makes you laugh, sometimes it makes you cry, but it always makes you feel. Settle in. We're just getting started. Sarah and Emily strolled leisurely along a long park avenue, engrossed in conversation. They were sharing news about the latest events that had happened in their lives. Now that one of them had gotten married and become a mother, their meetings with the other girl had become very rare. Max, a border collie, ran beside his owner, not falling behind a single step and carefully surveying the surroundings. He was calm and collected as usual. His owner unclipped the leash. Max turned around as if waiting for permission and immediately darted forward. On the fenced-in dog run, Max was playing with other dogs. They came here often and he knew all his four-legged friends. The friends quickly started a lively game, and soon the area was filled with happy barking. I honestly feel sorry for you, the one who had become a mother suddenly said. The phrase was so unexpected that her companion looked at her in surprise, but she calmly continued her thought. Look at your life. You have nothing. You're already 26 and you have no family, no children, not even a boyfriend, only work and a dog, nothing more. You're wasting precious time. At 30, no one will marry you. You'll just spend your days with your dog, your computer, and chocolates, she added confidently. I was like that myself until I realized what true female happiness is. It's our main purpose. How can you refuse that? Emily was still silent, only smirking almost imperceptibly. She already anticipated exactly where this conversation would lead. But think about it yourself. You're a woman. You simply must give birth, her companion insisted. I also had doubts. I said it was too early, but I gave birth and now I can't get enough of my little boy. She looked lovingly at the stroller she was pushing in front of her. You should have given birth at least for yourself. Without a child, it's not a life at all. I love you, but honestly, you've lost your mind? Emily, who lived alone, finally said what she was thinking. I'm not just a girl. I'm a person first and foremost. I don't want to live the way one should or the way someone else decided for me. I like my dog, I love my job, and my small studio apartment. I love my life the way it is, and I'm comfortable in it. I'm happy and find joy in every day, she continued. Should I give birth because you gave birth or because someone decreed that all women are obligated to give birth? That sounds incredibly stupid. You're not the first one who gave birth and is now trying to convince everyone around that, Emily said calmly, trying not to offend her friend. You have some kind of herd instinct, honestly. Since you gave birth, everyone else around should follow your example, but all people are different, and every woman has the right to live as she wishes. And I want to live my life without children. Well, you're an idiot. You'll regret it later, snapped the one who had become a mother. A woman's happiness is in children and family, not in dogs, apartments, and chocolates. Emily looked at her again with bewilderment. But what if your mother hadn't given birth to you? I simply wouldn't exist, and it wouldn't matter at all, her companion interrupted. All right, it seems there's a reason we haven't seen each other for so long. I'm sorry that I no longer fit your idea of an ideal friend, said Emily, who was tired of hearing the same thing. She was tired of hearing about the wonderful son, the wonderful husband, and how necessary it was for her to give birth. This must complex had appeared in her friend rather suddenly. Before she had been cheerful and free in her judgments, but a year of marriage and 3 months of motherhood had turned her into a robot, it seemed. Now it seemed to her that everyone around owed her something. Perhaps we shouldn't meet anymore, Emily continued. I don't want to hear that I owe someone something, that my dog is stupid, and my job is abnormal, as you put it. I think you should stick to other mothers whose lives are unfolding correctly. Emily turned toward the dog run. Come, she called to Max. He immediately stopped playing and ran to his owner. She clipped on the leash and walked away. Her companion, stunned by this turn of events, remained standing in place. Emily walked along the avenue with Max, who followed her step for step. He looked at her with such devotion, as if there was nothing happier for him than simply being near his owner. She turned left off the avenue and walked along the sidewalk, going around the large park. Emily was tired of her friend's reproaches. She was simply tired. They came out onto an almost deserted street. Emily took the leash off Max. He ran freely beside her, and she thought about how her former friend wasn't entirely honest with herself. She had seen her cry 1,000,000 times, listened to her complaints, and that kind of life didn't seem happy at all. Her husband had literally forced her friend to give birth, threatening divorce if he didn't become a father. She agreed tearfully, and after the child was born, he constantly criticized her if something went wrong. Now he wouldn't let her work, and she could only leave the house with the stroller. Her friend's whole life had turned into imprisonment, and Emily definitely didn't want that kind of life. She looked back and didn't see Max nearby. Emily flinched and called him, but he didn't respond anywhere. She was about to run back, but then she turned her head and saw a man lying on the ground. People were just walking by. No one was trying to help. Only her dog was nudging him with his nose, barking and whining, trying to attract attention. Emily rushed to the dog, fell to her knees, and felt for the man's pulse. She immediately called an ambulance. Max circled around the lying man. Good boy, Emily said, stroking Max behind the ear. When the ambulance arrived, the man was taken away. Emily and Max remained standing there. She turned to Max and said, You did well, but you shouldn't have run off. You should have called, and I would have followed you. Understood? Max looked at her as if he really understood. But from then on, she never let him off the leash on that street again. They walked home along the long and again half-empty street they had turned onto from the busy avenue where the man had been lying. Emily barely thought about him. The ambulance staff had taken her phone number just in case, but she doubted they would call her. After all, she didn't know this man at all. Emily approached the apartment building and entered her apartment. After having his paws wiped, Max laid down on his bed and almost immediately fell asleep. Emily checked for new orders in her online store and went to prepare the chocolate and candies she sold. Her hobby had long since turned into a profitable profession. Of course, from the outside, her job looked abnormal. Even when people found out she earned 3 times more than them, they still frowned and said it wasn't serious. Turning on a TV series in the kitchen, Emily got to work. She went into the living room for molds, and she didn't like the look of Max. He looked listless. His eyes were watery. Emily examined him, but found no other symptoms and returned to the kitchen. One evening, having finished her work, she entered the living room again and rushed headlong to the phone to call a taxi. Max was very ill. Tear-stained Emily sat in the back seat of a yellow taxi. Max lay with his head on her lap. He was drooling heavily and had a fever. He was breathing heavily and fitfully. Getting out of the car, she picked up the 20-kilogram dog, barely feeling his weight due to stress. Emily carried Max into the clinic, and the vets immediately attended to the new patient. "I'm very sorry," the vet said, giving the diagnosis, "but we don't have the facilities for such operations. We'll keep him on a drip until morning, and after that, it's up to you. Either put him down or transfer him. You need specialized transport, and it's expensive. About $100 just for transport, and the operation itself will cost a pretty penny," the vet added. "This disease isn't uncommon in this breed. You couldn't have influenced this in any way. Go home. You need to think until morning." Emily cried throughout the evening and deep into the night until she fell asleep from the tears and the burning pain in her eyes. She was crying because she didn't have that kind of money saved up. She also had no acquaintances from whom she could borrow. Not losing hope, Emily went to the clinic early in the morning. She cried in the taxi too, clutching a bag with her savings. She would move heaven and earth, but she would find the money for the operation. She just needed to transport Max. Just then, the taxi pulled up to the doors of the expensive 24-hour clinic. Emily got out and headed for the reception desk, but the vet met her with wide eyes. "Your dog has already been taken," he said, looking surprised, "and the money has been deposited into the account. Your dog should already be there. He was picked up about 2 hours after your call." "I don't quite understand. Who paid then?" the vet asked, more to himself. "I did," said David, standing up from a bench in the corridor. Emily looked at him and instantly recognized the man whom her dog had effectively saved. Everyone had walked by, hoping someone else would help, but in the end, the only one who rushed to help was a four-legged friend. David led the tear-stained girl, her eyes red from crying, outside to talk. "Don't worry, he's already there. They're preparing him for surgery," he said. "The vets give almost 100% guarantee of success because you saw help very quickly. Your dog, well, when I became ill on the street from a heart attack, I might not have survived. No one helped me. Only your dog called you," David continued. "I even remember him nudging my face with his cold nose, while everyone else around didn't care. There was more humanity in the dog than in people. They gave me your contact information. My people found you," David explained. "I was immediately informed that your dog was in trouble. I hurried to help. Here, every minute counts. A life for a life, as they say," he said, smiling. "I will never forget this. Thank you," Emily replied. I gathered my last money. I was thinking how to transport him, and then you?" She couldn't speak, starting to cry again. "How can I thank you? It's a huge amount. I make amazing homemade chocolate. Would you like me to make it for you for the rest of my life to pay you back? What nonsense, David smiled. For me, it's not such a large amount. Let's do this. When your dog recovers and gets better, you can go on a date with me since you want to thank me so much. Emily involuntarily smiled back at him. Everything seemed wonderful now. But if Emily had been late seeking help, Max wouldn't have survived. Even this was helped by her new acquaintance, and when he provided her with proof that her former friend had been involved in what happened, she was shocked. Emily first went to her former friend, but she immediately started sobbing, hoping that tears would serve as an excuse. However, these tears didn't move Emily. I thought it was because of the dog you were like this. But you're a woman, sobbed her former friend. If your dog had died, you would have wanted a child, and we would have raised children together. We would have been friends like before. You know, someone who is capable of doing that to an animal is capable of doing the same to a person, Emily said. And in this life, everything comes back. Wait for your comeuppance. I believe that karma exists. Goodbye. Live your happy family life and wait. Life will definitely settle the score with you. Emily went downstairs to the accompaniment of her former friend's less than pleasant remarks directed at her. Their relationship was destroyed in an instant. Emily got into the car of the man who had saved her. He smiled at her, and she involuntarily smiled back. Max, in the back seat, rested his head on her shoulder. She thought about how fate did exist after all. It was as if this man had been sent to her so that he could later save her dog, who could have died due to her former friend's malicious intent. Emily believed that this man and her dog were the ones sent by fate itself. And from this moment on, everything would be all right for them.